All right, so you ready to dive into some crypto this week?
Always ready to dig in. What do you have for me?
Well, the markets, they've been kind of quiet recently, haven't they?
Yeah, kind of a lull.
Yeah, but there's some exciting news brewing, especially on the ETF front.
Ooh, ETFs, that's always interesting.
Right, and we've got some interesting trends popping up on CoinMarketCap, too.
Okay, yeah, like what?
We'll get to those, but all of this is coming from an episode of Blockchain DXB. It was recorded on February 20th.
Okay, pretty recent.
Yeah, so just yesterday, so really fresh stuff. One thing that caught my eye, they were talking about Litecoin.
Litecoin, okay.
They were calling it Bitcoin's younger brother, so I thought...
Interesting comparison.
Yeah, I know, right? So we'll see if it can live up to that name.
All right, I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with just a general overview of the market right now.
Okay, sounds good.
So stablecoins, their volume is sitting at $83.33 billion.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad considering how quiet things have been.
Right.
What do you think? Is this like cautious optimism from investors?
That's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But that stablecoins volume could mean investors are hedging their bets a little,
Okay, yeah, that
They're not pulling out completely,
right.
but they're not exactly going all in either.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And it's interesting because it's happening alongside some, pretty drastic changes for certain tokens.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like, remember Radium?
Oh, yeah, Radium. What happened there?
I know, right? Just a few weeks ago, it was the hot token.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
It had a volume over $11 billion.
Wow.
And now it's under 1 million?
Oof.
I mean, I know diversification is important, but still, that kind of drop is unnerving.
Absolutely. And the reasons behind that drop are worth looking at.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, was it something specific that happened?
Right.
Was it a security breach, or was it just, the hype fading as quickly as it came?
Yeah, true.
This actually points to a bigger issue I see in the crypto world, which is that tendency to chase the next big thing.
Ooh, chasing the hype.
Exactly. Without really understanding, the underlying technology or the risks.
Right. It's all FOMO.
Yeah, exactly. So diversification is key, of course.
Right.
But even more important is being informed, making informed investments.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so speaking of diversification, Bitcoin's dominance is actually increasing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and prices are down.
Huh. That seems counterintuitive.
Right. It's like, shouldn't people be turning to altcoins when Bitcoin's price drops?
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Looking for those bigger gains?
Exactly, but here we are.
So this could mean that in times of uncertainty,
Yeah.
investors are still looking at Bitcoin as the safest bet, kind of like a digital gold.
Oh, digital gold. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's too early to say if this will hurt altcoin growth long term,
Okay, yeah.
but definitely something to keep an eye on.
Makes you wonder if this is a good time to go against the grain a bit.
Yeah, the contrarian approach.
Exactly. And look at what isn't popular right now, which, speaking of, I was looking at CoinMarketCap's trending tokens list.
Yeah.
And I noticed something, really weird.
Okay, lay it on me.
A token called Mystery. Mystery with a tiny market cap. It just popped up out of nowhere.
Huh, that's odd.
I know, right? What do you think is going on there?
The allure of the unknown.
Right.
That's a powerful force, especially in crypto.
Yeah, it's like a siren song.
Totally. My guess is it's pure speculation, maybe FOMO.
Probably.
A catchy name and a quick pump. Those don't necessarily translate to any real long-term value.
Good point.
It's a good reminder that doing your own research is so important.
Absolutely.
Especially when something seems too good to be true, or in this case, too mysterious.
So true. Okay, but let's face it, there are these bigger forces at play that affect the market too.
Like what?
Well, like the Federal Reserve.
The Fed.
Their recent meeting minutes, those are sending ripples through the crypto community.
Yeah, for sure. Could you remind us why the Fed is so important?
Sure. So the Fed basically controls the money flow, right?
Right.
In the U.S. economy by setting interest rates.
Exactly.
So when they raise those rates, borrowing becomes more expensive.
Yeah, which can slow down investment in, riskier assets.
Exactly. Crypto being one of them.
Right.
And then if they lower rates, that tends to encourage investment.
Okay, so what's the big question on everyone's mind?
What's the Fed going to do next?
Right, exactly. Are they going to hike rates again, send crypto plummeting?
Well, thankfully, according to Blockchain DXB, it looks like Jerome Powell, he's the Fed chair.
Right.
He's probably going to keep interest rates the same for now.
Okay, so that's good news.
Good news for crypto for sure. Creates a more predictable environment,
Right, makes sense.
But they're walking a tightrope because they're also trying to control inflation.
Yeah, that's the balancing act.
Exactly. And those decisions can have, unintended consequences.
Always a risk.
Okay, so we've got this uncertainty with the Fed.
Yeah.
But on the regulatory front, there's actually some exciting stuff happening.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
ETFs.
ETFs, they've been the holy grail of mainstream crypto adoption for a while.
Haven't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you remind us what an ETF is and why they're such a big deal?
Sure. So an ETF, it stands for Exchange Traded Fund.
Right.
And it's basically a basket of assets, like stocks, or
Okay.
in this case, cryptocurrencies.
Uh-huh.
And they trade on traditional stock exchanges.
So for crypto, it's like a bridge to the mainstream financial world.
Exactly, yeah. It makes it much easier for investors to get involved.
Okay, so that's why they're a big deal.
Yeah, it offers a familiar and regulated way for, traditional investors to get exposure to crypto.
Without having to go through all the hassle of setting up wallets and dealing with exchanges.
Right, exactly. So get this.
What?
Brazil just approved the world's first spot XRP ETF.
Wow, that is big.
I know, right? This is huge.
It is. It's a landmark decision.
Yeah. Up until now, most of the ETF proposals, they were all about Bitcoin futures,
Oh, right.
not the actual cryptocurrency itself.
So this could actually drive XRP's price up.
Absolutely. It could be a catalyst, and it might even push other countries to reconsider their stance on spot crypto ETFs.
Like the US.
Yeah, like the U.S. Imagine the influx of capital if that happened.
That would be insane.
It's like Brazil just leapfrogged everyone in the regulatory game.
Totally. But even in the US, things are moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Coinbase is launching CFTC-regulated Solana and Hedera futures.
Interesting. Okay.
So it shows that institutional interest is still growing.
Yeah, they're willing to engage with regulated products.
Exactly.
And it also points to the increasing sophistication of the crypto derivatives market.
Right. Which can be exciting,
Yeah, definitely exciting.
but also kind of risky.
Well, yeah, there's always risk involved.
True. Okay, so we've got Brazil being bold with XRP,
Uh-huh.
Coinbase getting into regulated futures.
Yep.
Institutional interest is on the rise. It sounds like regulation might actually be working in crypto's favor.
It seems that way.
Right.
But there are potential downsides, right?
Oh, of course.
We have to think about the unintended consequences.
Give me an example.
Like the Web3 Alliance that was recently launched in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, what about it?
Well, on the surface, it sounds great, right?
Yeah, promoting innovation, collaboration.
Exactly. But the worry is that government-led initiatives, even with good intentions,
Yeah.
could actually stifle the whole decentralized, permissionless spirit of blockchain.
Oh, I see. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. You risk distorting the very thing you're trying to promote.
So it's about finding that balance between fostering innovation
Yeah,
and preserving that core principle of decentralization.
right. It makes you wonder, is there a way to regulate without, stifling what makes crypto unique?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And there's another player in this space who's making some bold moves.
Oh, who's that?
Robinhood.
Robinhood, they're back.
They're back in the spotlight. Their next target is Singapore.
Singapore, interesting.
Yeah, they're using their acquisition of Bitstamp to kind of navigate those regulatory hurdles over there.
Smart move.
Right, and tap into Asia's growing crypto market.
Makes sense. Singapore's a big fintech hub.
Exactly, and their recent performance suggests they're really going all in on this.
How so?
Their crypto revenue surged 700% in the last quarter of 2024.
Wow, 700%.
Yeah, contributing to a total quarterly revenue of $1 billion.
That's huge.
Huge, right? Could this be a sign of traditional finance companies really entering the crypto space?
It could be, potentially accelerating mainstream adoption even further.
Yeah, it seems like they're setting themselves up to be a major player in the Asian market.
For sure.
But what's the bigger picture here? Is this just about Robinhood's ambition, or is there something, like, more profound happening?
I think it speaks to a larger shift that's happening.
Like what?
We're seeing traditional finance and crypto coming together.
Oh, interesting.
Players from both sides are starting to see the potential of this technology.
Okay, so what does this all mean for our listener? It's clear that the crypto world is anything but boring.
Yeah, no kidding.
We've got these market trends shifting, regulations evolving, players like Robinhood shaking things up. What's the one thing our listeners should take away from all of this?
I think the key takeaway is this. The crypto space is dynamic and unpredictable, but it's full of opportunity.
Okay, I like that.
Staying informed, being willing to adapt, that's crucial.
Be flexible.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to question your assumptions, especially when it comes to, hype and trends.
That's great advice, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here.
Oh yeah, there's so much more to explore.
There is.
In Part 2, we'll delve deeper into the Middle East, focusing on the specific approaches taken by countries like Dubai and Saudi Arabia.
Oh, can't wait for that. See you there.
See you there.
Welcome back to our crypto deep dive. Last time we were talking about, some major trends, remember?
Yeah, Brazil's ETF approval, the potential issues with government-led blockchain initiatives, right?
Exactly, but now I think it's time to shift gears a bit.
Okay, where are we headed?
Let's head to the Middle East.
The Middle East, all right.
It's becoming a real crypto hotbed, and I think it's fascinating to see how different countries there are approaching it.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag for sure. Some are going all in, others are more cautious.
Exactly, and it's not just governments. There are some really innovative companies popping up, too.
Oh, absolutely. Pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain.
For sure. Like one company that caught my eye, it's called Mantra Finance. They're based in Dubai.
Mantra Finance, okay.
And they just got a virtual asset service provider
Oh,
license
wow. From
from Dubai's Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, VARA.
Vara.
Okay,
Okay.
it's a mouthful, but basically this allows them to offer a whole bunch of services like DeFi and real-world asset tokenization.
Interesting. And not just to individuals, to institutional clients in the UAE too, right?
Exactly. So they're bridging that gap between traditional finance and DeFi.
Right in the heart of Dubai.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what does that actually look like in practice? Like, what kind of real-world assets are we talking about?
Well, they haven't given specifics yet,
Okay.
but they've got partnerships with companies like Zand, which is a digital bank, and Noah's Aviation.
Aviation.
Makes you wonder what a tokenized airline ticket might look like, or a real estate asset.
Right.
This could be a big step towards mainstream adoption, bringing blockchain into everyday life.
Totally. It makes you wonder if this is just the beginning. Will we see more companies like Mantra Finance popping up?
I think it's definitely possible. Dubai's positioning itself as a global crypto hub,
Yeah, they are.
and other countries are noticing.
Okay, speaking of other countries, Saudi Arabia has been making headlines with their Web3 alliance.
What's up?
Right.
But last time you mentioned some reservations about these government-led blockchain initiatives.
I did, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on WASA specifically?
Well, on the surface, it does sound promising.
Yeah, what have they done?
They brought together some big names in Web3, like Sandbox and Outlier Ventures,
Okay, yeah, big players.
to promote blockchain education and development in Saudi Arabia.
So fostering innovation.
Right, and they're even saying they're a nonprofit focused on that.
So what's the catch?
My concern is that even with the best intentions, this kind of government-backed alliance,
Yeah.
it could create a centralized structure.
That goes against the whole idea of blockchain.
Exactly. It's that classic dilemma. How do you regulate and promote a technology that's meant to operate outside of traditional control?
It's like trying to tame a wild horse.
It is. You can put a saddle on it, but you can't change its nature.
So true. And while having standards can be good, for interoperability security,
Yeah, definitely.
it's important to make sure those standards don't stifle creativity or exclude certain projects.
Absolutely. And there have been some concerns raised about that with why said,
Oh, like what?
their statement about setting industry standards. Some people worry that could create barriers to entry for innovative projects.
The ones that don't fit the mold, right?
Exactly.
So it's a tightrope walk, isn't it? Encouraging growth, but not killing the innovation.
That's the challenge.
Makes you wonder if there's a better find that perfect balance.
It's tough, but a challenge worth tackling.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at Asia more broadly.
Okay, zooming out.
Remember we talked about Robinhood's expansion into Singapore?
Yeah, Singapore, they're known for being pretty progressive with crypto regulation.
Exactly. Could this be a game changer for the Asian crypto market?
It could be. Robinhood's platform is really user-friendly, appeals to a lot of retail investors.
Yeah, it's simple to use.
That could really boost adoption in a region that's already pretty interested in crypto.
And Singapore's regulatory framework gives companies like Robinhood that certainty they're looking for.
Right, and their success could have a ripple effect on other Asian countries.
So it's not just about Robinhood conquering Singapore, it's about potentially influencing the whole region.
Exactly. It's a much bigger picture.
And it's not just Asia that's in play here. The Middle East is hopping too with different approaches to regulation and adoption.
Absolutely. It's a dynamic landscape.
Okay, so let's dive back into the Middle East for a minute. We talked about the UAE, Saudi Arabia, but what about the other countries? Are they keeping up?
It really varies. Some are embracing crypto, others are more hesitant.
Give me an example.
Like Bahrain, they've got a comprehensive regulatory framework similar to Singapore.
Okay, so a measured, regulated approach.
Yeah, and that's attracted exchanges and startups. They like the clarity.
Makes sense. But what about the more hesitant countries? Any examples in the Middle East?
Well, Saudi Arabia is an interesting case. They've got initiatives like WASA, but their overall stance on crypto is still a bit unclear.
So they're interested in the potential.
Yeah, but treading carefully.
I can understand that. Crypto is still relatively new. It can be disruptive,
Absolutely. It makes sense for governments to be cautious.
especially in a region with such complex politics, right?
Right. And then you have countries like Iran. They've taken a completely different approach.
Oh, how so?
They're using crypto to get around economic sanctions.
Really?
Yeah, they've even authorized its use for imports.
Wow. That's using crypto as a tool of economic empowerment.
It is, especially for countries facing restrictions.
It's like a whole new level of geopolitics.
It is. It highlights how crypto can reshape not just finance, but global power dynamics.
That's something to watch, for sure. So we've got this spectrum of approaches in the Middle East, from Dubai's crypto-friendly environment to Saudi Arabia's caution and Iran's strategic use. It's fascinating.
It really is. It's a mix of innovation, regulation, and geopolitics.
Totally. But what about the everyday person in the Middle East? How are they reacting to all of this?
It depends on the country, their access to information, technology.
Right.
But overall, there's a growing awareness of crypto and its potential.
That's good.
We're seeing communities forming, educational initiatives, even businesses looking at how to integrate blockchain.
So it's not just a top-down thing.
No, it's a grassroots movement, too.
That's encouraging.
It is. It shows how crypto can empower individuals and communities.
Regardless of where they're from.
Exactly. It transcends borders, hierarchies. That's what makes it so exciting.
I agree. This deep dive into the Middle East has been really eye-opening. It's a region that's both embracing and grappling with crypto.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we wrap up this part, I want to get your thoughts on one more thing.
What's that?
Stablecoins.
Stablecoins. Oh, yeah, they've been a hot topic lately.
I have. We talked about their volume earlier, how it's holding steady even with the market fluctuations.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But can we dig a little deeper into what they are and why they're becoming so important?
Sure. So stablecoins are basically cryptocurrencies that are designed to maintain a stable value.
Okay, so less volatile than something like Bitcoin.
Right. They're usually pegged to a fiat currency, like the US dollar, or a commodity like gold.
So like a bridge between the crazy crypto world and the stability of traditional currencies.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes them attractive to traders and people looking for a more stable store of value.
But how do they actually work? How do they maintain that stability?
Well, there are different types of stablecoins, each with their own mechanisms.
Okay.
Some are backed by fiat reserves, meaning for every stablecoin out there, there's an equal amount of fiat currency held in reserve.
Okay, so like a one-to-one backing.
Yeah. Others are backed by cryptocurrencies, using algorithms and smart contracts to maintain their peg.
Interesting.
And then there are hybrid models that combine both approaches.
So it's more complex than just pegging it to the dollar. There's a whole system behind it.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
Are there any risks associated with stablecoins? Nothing's foolproof, right?
You're right, there are risks. One concern is the stability of the collateral.
Okay.
If it's backed by fiat reserves, those reserves need to be managed, well, audited.
To make sure there's enough to cover the supply.
Right. And with crypto-backed stablecoins, there's always the risk of some crazy event in the crypto market that could destabilize the peg.
So there's that trust factor, just like with traditional finance.
Exactly.
And what about regulation? Are stablecoins treated the same as other cryptocurrencies?
That's a tough one. It depends on where you are.
Okay.
Some regulators are taking a hands-off approach. They see stablecoins as payment innovation.
Okay.
Others are more cautious. They worry about the impact on financial stability and monetary policy.
I see. So stablecoins are walking that same tightrope between innovation and regulation.
They are, but they're playing a bigger and bigger role in the crypto world.
Yeah, they offer some stability in all the chaos.
Exactly. And as the market matures, I think we'll see stablecoins become even more integrated into the global financial system.
So another trend to watch.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see how they adapt to regulations and how they're used in new ways.
Okay, well, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive. We've covered a lot.
We have from DeFi in Dubai to regulation in Bahrain and Iran using crypto strategically.
The Middle East is full of potential, but also facing its own unique challenges.
Absolutely. And it's a story that's still being written.
So true. In the final part, we'll talk about the bigger picture. What does this all mean for global finance?
Sounds good?
And we'll touch on some key trends and innovations to watch in the coming years.
Can't wait.
All right, welcome back to our final part of this crypto journey. I feel like we've been all over the place.
We have, haven't we? From market trends to, like, the global implications, it's been a ride.
It has, but now I want to kind of zoom out.
Okay, zoom out. I like it.
Look at the bigger picture. Like, what does all of this mean for the future of finance?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It feels like we're seeing a real shift happening.
A paradigm shift, I'd say.
Okay, a paradigm shift. I like that.
We're rethinking how money works, how we transfer value. It's pretty fundamental.
It is, and crypto is right at the center of it, challenging the old ways.
Forcing those traditional institutions to adapt. Or
get left behind.
Exactly.
It's like a slow-motion revolution, each new development pushing us a little further.
I like that analogy.
And remember we were talking about Dubai earlier, their goal to be a global crypto hub.
Yeah, those special economic zones they're creating, it's a pretty bold move.
It is. Do you think other countries will follow suit?
I think it's inevitable.
You do.
Yeah, the UAE is setting a precedent, showing the world that embracing crypto can bring in investment, talent, innovation.
Yeah, they're attracting all the right things.
Exactly. Other countries, especially those looking to grow their economies,
Yeah.
they're going to be watching close.
It's like a global competition is heating up.
Maybe it is. Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
But we can't forget about the potential downsides, right?
Of course not. Those risks are real.
Like regulation stifling innovation.
Yeah.
Balancing decentralization and security.
Right.
Those stablecoin concerns. Do those things keep you up at night?
They do. They should keep all of us who are involved in crypto thinking critically.
Yeah, good point.
Because crypto's powerful, it can be used for good or bad.
Like any tool, right?
Exactly. That's why it's so important to talk about the risks, the challenges.
Even while we celebrate all the progress.
Exact. It's a balancing act.
It feels like we're pioneers exploring this new world.
We are, and the landscape is constantly changing.
Which leads me to my next question. What trends are you most excited about?
Good question. The convergence of DeFi and real-world assets, that's one.
We talked about Mantra Finance in Dubai, right?
Yeah, but I think that's just the beginning. Imagine a world where everything is tokenized.
Everything.
Real estate, art, commodities, even intellectual property.
Traded on decentralized platforms.
Exactly, unlocking all this liquidity, creating new opportunities.
It's almost mind-blowing.
It is. We could be on the verge of a whole new financial system.
One that's more transparent, more efficient.
More accessible.
I like the sound of that. And it's not just about financial assets, is it?
No, not at all.
We're seeing crypto being used for all sorts of things. Supply chains, identity verification, even voting.
It's becoming the ultimate problem-solving tool.
Like a Swiss Army knife for the digital age.
That's a good way to put it.
But with so much happening, it's hard to keep up. What advice would you give to our listeners?
Stay curious, stay informed, and don't be afraid to experiment.
Oh, I like that. Don't be afraid to experiment.
The crypto world is always changing, so be a lifelong learner.
Okay, how do we do that?
Read, research, join communities, attend events.
Get involved.
And get your hands dirty. Try things out for yourself.
That's great advice. It's like anything else. The more you put in, the more you get out.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been an amazing journey from market trends to global implications. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's been a pleasure discussing all of this with you.
And to you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore the world of crypto. It's a fascinating place.
It is. Full of possibilities.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, remember that knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Stay informed, stay engaged, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next crypto pioneer.
Shaping the future of finance.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, happy exploring.
Happy exploring.